Alrighty, we're gonna play Glowing Picnic from Yasmin.
I finished the reactor checks. We dumped a ton of runoff, and we don't need the rods melting down. Then I helped with the scavenging, chopped some veggies with the cooks, and tried to help Diana, but she sent me down to engineering with Stefanos. I've been working with him the last few days. Stefanos. How to describe Stefanos? He's by far the most thorough engineer I've worked with, and no ego. He never leaves a job undone, no matter how late it is. I've never seen him awake before 11, and he always greets me by saying, Kalimera, Yasmin, in the sleepiest drawl. Not a morning person, that one. He listens with the slightest smile on his face and twirls this stray curl by his ear. He asks a billion questions, but I don't mind. He surprised me today. There's an empty room on the bridge, just a spot of negative space in the ship. He set a picnic there and said I need to relax. He even called me a busybody. There were these crazy glowing fungus things he found to set the ambiance. The most exciting part, though, drum roll, he can jailbreak fabricators. He made a small batch of traditional Grecian dishes. But the craziest part? He managed to make a suitable falafel for me. I never thought I'd see a good falafel in deep space. Alhamdulillah. A quiet genius, that one. This planet may be a cold mistress, but maybe it isn't so bad.
So this PDA takes place after the Mercury 2 has already wrecked. She takes note of the planet being a cold mistress, which is indicative of them landing in Sector 0, because to everyone else's understanding of the planet, there is only one part of the planet that is a cold mistress, which is somewhere on the equator for some reason. And despite being on the equator, the Aurora Borealis is there for some reason. I don't know, loose ends that were never tied up, but I digress. The PDA itself, it's fluff, it's filler, and in that context, it is competent fluff, it is competent filler. The voice actor for Yasmin exactly sounds how the character was written. Somebody talking, it seems like a personal data bank. Like the PDA log that we found, that was Yasmin's personal PDA. Those logs were meant only for herself. You know, it was basically her diary. And we have instances of that in Subnautica. It's fluff. It's cool. There's even a mention of fabricators tying into, real world game mechanics. It's nice. But with a game that's got so many plot holes, so much inconsistencies, so many loose ends that are left untied, so many plot holes that were filled in unbelievably, so many plot threads that were tied up, and the knots that were created were just even more confusing. To have so much work to be done to make the product palpable, to sit here and place additional work and it's just fluff and filler, like it doesn't, that PDA log, it does nothing. It doesn't make the game worse. It doesn't make the game better. It doesn't add to the story. It doesn't detract to the story. We don't learn anything more about the fabricator. The only thing that PDA tells us is about Yasmin and Stefanos. It tells us it could be a Twitter post. What is it doing in this game? What does it have to do with the Mercury 2? Later on it plays into one thing, and that's how that's how Yasmin and Stefanos survived the second crashing temporarily, apparently, but that was because they had a thing for one another. Stefanos could have saved himself, or he could have saved somebody else, but he saved her because he's got a thing for her. She probably survived, vice versa, because of that. And you'll see that in another log. But it's like in a board game, or a tabletop game, you've got X amount of turns. You can perform X amount of actions. In a strategy simulator and stuff, you've got so many limited options. Your forces are taking damage. You've got to retreat. You've got to reassess. When you have to make crucial decisions, and what you're doing is you're adding stuff like this, it's basically cosmetic. It's a decoration. It's like putting a hat on somebody and giving them a T-shirt to wear. It's the same person. It's like getting a murderer out of their cell, and then you give them a nice T-shirt, nice little haircut, and, you smile for the camera. It's like, hey, that's not an upstanding citizen. Put him back in the cell. He killed 30 people. It's like that's a bad dude. You can't dress up a bad game and be like, hey, it's a good game, because it's wearing a T-shirt that says good game, and it's holding up, a styrofoam, finger that's like rooting for, X local sports team. It's like, no, it's in a better game, the PDA wouldn't have been an issue, but this is an issue. Let's get into the others. This is where it begins to fall apart. And according to my personal timeline, the next PDA will be I Miss My Family. And this is from Elliot. And Elliot is the xenolinguist from the very first one. Elliot's the one that picked up possible alien presence on 4546b. Let's check out Elliot's PDA.
We need to get off this planet. I mean, the morning started out so well. I took a team of 6 out to find the structures from the planetary scans, and we were all in high spirits. I mean, who wouldn't be? These structures would be clues to another sentient race. It was highly unlikely that another colony would be out this far. We were going to be in the frickin' history books. Everything was going okay. We were a few miles from the ship when our radios picked up an actual signal. It sounded like an SOS. We got overly excited naturally and decided to enter the water to follow it. That decision cost 3 lives. I mean, half my team, they got ripped to shreds by something. They died screaming, alone in the cold, dark waters. I'm not going back in that godforsaken ocean again. I refuse. Some of the animals on this planet, they look sick too. Weird pustules on the skin, oddly sluggish. I think we should leave. But Diana said we should stay. She thinks the biopatent payoffs would be worth it, but those families will never see their loved ones again. They don't care about no payoffs. We can't return the bodies. I don't care about the accolades or the history books. I just want to see Layla and the kids. Man. I miss the smell of my wife's hair. The kids tackling me at the door again. That's all I want. To get out of here alive. Please.
Alrighty, and this is the point we get to where I can't say I've got mixed feelings about this one. I've got very, very clear feelings about this one. First off, I want to point out an issue that I have with the voice actor. Competent, like I said, but here's my issue with this log. His voice acting, the emotion that he is speaking with, it matches the events that he is reciting off. Now, this is a PDA log that Elliot recorded after these events, after he has returned back with the other 2 people. Once half of his team has returned back alive, he made this, or he made it immediately after those events, right? This PDA log had to have been made after the events that were recorded in the log. However, at the start of the log, the voice actor speaks as if